Hello, everyone. So my name is Joanna, and today we'll be doing a small education about what is beliefs. To introduce myself, I am part of Mitra, a warm, safe mental health space where we support individuals across different ages through counseling, guidance, workshops, and well-being tools. Mitra was founded in 2019 by counseling psychologist Ketki Kadam Kelapure with a simple but powerful vision to make mental health care practical, compassionate, and stigma-free. We work with children, adolescents, adults, and we work also with families and professionals, both in India and international. And everything we do is rooted in understanding the human mind with kindness and not judgment. So today, we'll be talking about something that is subtle and often visible, which is beliefs. So beliefs are not just about motivation, positivity, or confidence. Actually, beliefs are those quiet rules your mind follows every single day. So let's actually understand what exactly are beliefs. So in psychology, beliefs are deeply held inner convictions about who we are, how the world works, what do we deserve, and what is possible for us. So they act as mental shortcuts that help us make sense of the world without having to analyze every single thing consciously. So think of your beliefs as lenses. So you don't see your lenses, you see through it. In the same way, we don't see beliefs, we see through them. So two different people can experience the same situation, but respond completely differently. Not because of the situation itself, but because of the belief behind it. For example, suppose there is a difficult task that was given at work. Now, one person can think, oh, this is quite challenging, but I'll figure it out. And another person could think, oh, I always mess things up, so I don't think I'll be able to do it. So it is same event, same situation, but different beliefs and different reactions. And so this leads to having very different emotional outcome as well. Now let's see how and why do beliefs form. Now beliefs don't come out of nowhere. They form because the brain needs meaning and predictability. From your childhood, your mind starts noticing patterns, how your caregivers respond to you, what is praised or punished, how emotions are handled, what success looks like, what love feels like. So over time, your brain repeats these experiences into rules. In Indian families, beliefs are often inherited. For example, respect your elders no matter what, and emotions should be controlled. Success equals stability. Good children don't talk back. So many of us are living by beliefs we never consciously chose. We just absorb them. And once these beliefs are formed, they tend to filter new information. We notice what confirms them and ignore what challenges them. Now, let's see what are a few types of beliefs. Now, the first one is core beliefs. Now, core beliefs are the deepest level. They are not surface thoughts. They are literally the foundation. So they could sound absolute. For example, I'm not good enough. People can't be trusted. The world is unsafe. I must be perfect to be accepted. These beliefs usually form early in life, especially through childhood experiences, emotional neglect, trauma, inconsistent caregiving. repeated criticism, or pressure. And under core beliefs, there are mainly two types. The first we'll see is adaptive core beliefs. These are the beliefs that are helpful and flexible. So, for example, it could be I'm capable, I can learn, people are generally safe, I have value. So, these are core beliefs that support mental health, growth, and resilience. The other core belief is called as maladaptive core beliefs. So these are often rigid and limiting, and they are based on survival rather than rationality. So, for example, I'm unlovable, I'm helpless, I'll always fail, people will hurt me. These maladaptive beliefs, let's keep in mind that they are not stupid beliefs, or they are not based on random things, or doesn't mean that that person is weak. But these core beliefs, as mentioned, were based on survival. And so these beliefs helped that person cope until now. The next two types of beliefs that we're going to see is called positive and negative beliefs. Usually when we hear of positive and negative beliefs, we would think that those positive are usually uplifting and so on, and the negative ones are the ones that are going to pull you down. But both of them, they serve their own purposes as well. So now first let's see what are positive beliefs. Now first positive belief is those kinds of beliefs that foster confidence and strengthen motivation. So these are healthy beliefs that are not necessarily just blind positivity, but they are realistic, flexible, and also compassionate. On the other hand, we can see that negative beliefs are those that serve a protective function in a way that helps the person expect rejection so that they can avoid disappointment. So they would avoid rejection altogether. Also, to reduce the chances of getting hurt, they would avoid closeness. They would also keep standards that are impossibly high so they can avoid criticism. So the problem is that this kind of negative belief can help only in the present moment, but in the end, it can later become a limitation as well. The next kind of beliefs that we're going to be seeing is explicit and implicit beliefs. So explicit beliefs are those that you can say out loud and that you are consciously aware and you express them. Whereas implicit beliefs are those that operate silently. So they are unconscious assumptions that shape your behavior. For example, you might say, I believe I deserve rest, but your behavior says, I must earn rest. So that gap is where the distress often lives. So implicit beliefs often show up through choices, patterns, emotional reactions, and relationships. So therapy often works at this level to bring up the invisible into awareness. So now let's see what is the link between beliefs, values, and attitudes. So these are interchangeable terms, although they are not the same. They have different meanings, but they have a cycle in which they work. So first we can understand that beliefs shape values, values shape attitude, and attitudes shape behavior. For example, if you believe, I am responsible for everyone's happiness, you may value self-sacrifice, which creates an attitude of overgiving, then leads to the behavior of burnout and resentment. So this cycle could keep repeating until the belief itself is questioned. Now, let's see, why don't beliefs change easily? Before we talk about how beliefs change, we need to talk about why they don't. Now, beliefs are not just thoughts. They are predictive models your brain uses to keep you safe. So your brain is not designed to keep you happy or to make you happy. It is designed to keep you alive and familiar. So even painful beliefs feel safe if they are known. For example, I'm lovable is painful to believe, but it is predictable. Another could be, what if I'm lovable? It is hopeful, but uncertain. So this kind of contradicting terms makes the brain confused. And of course, the brain hates uncertainty. And that is why people often defend harmful beliefs and they return to the toxic patterns that they have been following, which then sabotages their growth. And when they try to improve, they feel anxious. This happens not because they are weak, but because the brain prefers certainty over change, and change threatens their identity. Now, let's talk about how we can change these beliefs step by step so they don't feel overwhelming. So, the first step that beliefs change is through awareness or by identifying. Next is challenging or questioning the evidence. Third step is to reframe or cognitively restructure. And fourth is to test it by doing behavioral experiments. And fifth is emotional safety through reinforcing action. So we will discuss more about these in detail, but we can understand that change is uncomfortable because the brain prefers familiarity and to be in a comfortable position. So even painful familiarity is preferred over uncertainty. And this is quite normal. But belief is not about forcing positivity. It's about creating a more accurate, compassionate narratives through these steps and believing in the accurate narrative so that that can help you grow. Now let's look into exactly how we can change the beliefs. So as mentioned, belief change is not about affirmations or just forcing positivity or just saying that let's think differently. Belief change through repeated emotional and cognitive experiences. So let's break them into the 5 stages as I mentioned earlier. The first one being awareness. So identifying and naming the belief. So beliefs cannot change unless they are brought to the light. So if they remain invisible, they will not change. So most people don't say, I believe I'm not good enough. They say, I feel anxious. I overthink. Well, that's just how I am. But therapy or self-work asks, what belief is running underneath all this? For example, in terms of anxiety, it could be if I make a mistake, I'll be rejected. Or people pleasing could be my needs don't matter. Perfectionism could be if I'm not perfect, I am worthless. So once you name the belief, it stops being you and becomes something you have. And that creates distance. Next is understanding the origin of the belief. Having compassion first. So beliefs don't disappear through logic alone. They soften through understanding. So you can ask yourself, where did I learn this? Who taught me this? Directly or indirectly. What was happening in my life when this belief was formed? So many beliefs formed when you were young, when you had limited choices. You needed protection and had no power. So the belief wasn't wrong then, it was adaptive. For example, a belief could be, I shouldn't express emotions. And the origin could be from emotional expression or suppression as a child that led to conflict, dismissal, or punishment. And this is important for us to remember because you cannot change what you are still judging. So remembering from our previous example that knowing that emotional suppression, which you had learned as a child, was as a response to what happened around you in your childhood. So having self-compassion lowers the brain's threat response, making change possible. Next is questioning the belief and not attacking it directly. So this is to question its truth and usefulness. Now, here comes the gentle curiosity. So it is not just saying that, oh, this belief is stupid, but really asking the belief, is it always true? So in therapy, we ask, what is the evidence for this belief? What is the evidence against this belief? Is this belief absolute or is it context-based? Is it helping me now? For example, a belief could be, I always fail. So a question could be, do you always fail in every situation or in specific contexts? Who exactly benefits from me believing this? And is it helping me when I believe in this? So this stage is introducing flexibility, which is actually the enemy of rigid beliefs. So this helps us break down the rigidity that we have in our mind to help us be more adaptable and flexible with our beliefs. Next is creating a balanced or alternative belief. So now here is the part where most people find it difficult and they go wrong in some circumstances. So they may jump from saying, I'm a failure to I'm amazing at everything. So the brain rejects this instantly. So a healthy belief change uses bridge beliefs. For example, old belief could be, I'm not good enough. And a bridging belief could be, I have strengths and areas of growth like everyone else. Or I am learning. Or it could also be, my self-worth is not defined by my performance. So these beliefs feel believable and they are not fake. So the goal is not just blind positivity itself, but it is being accurate. And the last step is stage 5, or the step 5, which is behavioral and emotional reinforcement. It is reinforcing the beliefs through small actions. So beliefs don't change just because you understand them. They change because you experience something different repeatedly. If you believe I will be rejected if I speak up, you could do a small test to actually see whether this is actually true or not. It could be in the form of sharing an opinion, setting a small boundary, or just trying and saying no for once. And then note down to yourself what exactly happened at that time. What was the situation that happened? Another one could be, how did my body respond? What was the areas in my body that responded when I did this action? And the third one could be, what did I survive? So these are called behavioral experiments. Each experience sends new data to the brain that tells the brain maybe this belief is not fully accurate. So over time, the brain updates the belief slowly and safely. Next, let's talk about something that is sensitive, which is why does change seem uncomfortable? Here is something that no one may tell you, which is that when beliefs start changing, you may feel anxious, guilty, confused, disloyal, or even emotionally unstable. This doesn't mean that you are doing it wrong. It just means that your nervous system is recalibrating or rewiring itself. So, growth may feel a bit of grief for your old self, or a loss of a familiar pain, or identity confusion. And this is actually quite common because discomfort is part of healing and a part of growth. And because beliefs are tied to identity, changing them feels like you are becoming someone new. And change is always uncomfortable. And that is why we should not just give up because it is hard, but let's try and learn how we can improve on this belief as well. Next, let's see how beliefs, healing, and relationships are tied together. Now, belief change is quite relational too. So now if you believe that love is conditional, you must earn affection, or conflict means abandonment. Healing requires corrective emotional experiences, often in the form of therapy, friendships, and safe relationships as well. Now, being treated differently reteaches the nervous system of what is possible. That is why relationships matter a lot, because insight does not come alone. Insight alone is not enough. Connection really matters. That can help to also change yourself in a stable manner as well. So now to conclude, we were able to understand that the biggest plot twist is that beliefs are not necessarily your own. Beliefs are not truth itself. They were actually survival strategies that you used so to protect yourself. And your mind is the one that wants the best for you. And so your mind turned those beliefs into a rule. And so the beliefs itself is not what you are. It is something that you learned. And learning can always continue. And beliefs are not facts. They are stories and not the truth. Of course, every story can be rewritten. So why don't you rewrite your story again? So if you feel that this session stirred quite a bit of reflection, curiosity, or even discomfort, that's actually the growth that is speaking. And if you would like to uncover and discover more about yourself in depth, please do feel free to reach out to us at Mitra or to any other therapist that you are comfortable with. And so thank you so much for taking your time with us, and I hope you have a lovely day ahead. Thank you.